Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers report, we're less than 3 weeks away from the 2024 NFL Draft in Detroit, and we're going to talk about some Niners trade-up candidates. Players that San Francisco could matriculate up the draft board for to trade for and take in the NFL Draft. A wide variety of players here, and we start off with Chop Robinson. One of my favorite edge rushers in this draft class, a very special player who's extremely gifted, has an insanely quick first step, and I think he's going to be and develop into a much better pro than he was a college player. Now, a lot of you are going to ask this question about all of these players that we talk about, and we're going to discuss 5 of them here on today's 49ers report. Chase, why would San Francisco trade up for Chop Robinson? He accelerates from 0 to 60 in a blink, and I think that he can develop into a stud edge rusher opposite of Nick Bosa. And then you have 2 players who are just going to wreak havoc on the opposing quarterback. The Niners need a young developmental edge rusher. And Chop Robinson is also good against the run. And what have the Niners tried to accomplish this offseason after being porous against the run in 2023? They've tried to improve against the run game. Chop Robinson, very good athletic testing numbers at the NFL Scouting Combine in early March. Earned a relative athletic score of 971 on a scale of 0 to 10. He stands at 6'2", 254. What's so impressive about that size is how quickly he ran. A 4.48 40-yard dash. The fastest 40-yard dash for a player at 250-plus pounds. Good vertical leap, a good broad jump. The numbers are not going to scream at you throughout his college career, where he went from Maryland to Penn State. But in growing up in Pennsylvania, in covering Penn State for my previous job, in still scouting a lot of Penn State players because they do a great job of developing high-level NFL talent, teams had a game plan for Chop Robinson. And he always jumped off the screen with his ability to make massive plays. And we asked him at the NFL Combine, who do you model your game after? His answer? Very interesting.
I would say Nick Bosa and TJ Watt. Just watching both of those guys, they're very relentless, very consistent, low pad level. They always give everything they got on every play, so I just try to build my game after those guys.
So Nick Bosa and TJ Watt. And because he went to Penn State, because of his build, because of his quickness, some people have compared him to Micah Parsons. I think that's a little bit lofty, but solid players to model your game after, no doubt about it. Trade-up candidate number 2. And keep in mind that these players are probably not going to be on the board, or at least I'd be surprised if they're on the board for the Niners at 31. Tal Fuaga, offensive tackle out of Oregon State. Why would the Niners decide to trade up and trade away draft capital for a player of this ilk? He's a plug-and-play tackle from day one. I think he starts from the jump. He's nasty. He moves with fluidity, and he is a scheme fit. He even has said in the pre-draft process, I've played in all types of schemes, and with what the Niners like to do, outside zone, I think that I would excel in that system. And here's what Tal Fuaga had to say about specifically playing for the Niners.
Yeah, definitely. I played for Jim Mahalchek at Oregon State, and he definitely, his scheme is about, a pro-style offense just like 49ers. I'm well prepared for different run schemes like that, and outside zone, that's kind of like bread and butter at Oregon State, so I'm ready for that.
Have you met with the 49ers by chance?
Yeah. I think at the Senior Bowl, I can't forget if here, we had a lot of meetings, so yeah.
And his athletic testing numbers in the pre-draft process, it's crazy when you're at the Combine or if you're watching the Combine to see players who are this size, 6'5", 324, run as quickly as they do in the drills, but also in the 40-yard dash. I don't think people realize how fast a 5'1", 40-yard dash is, especially when you are that weight. 9.61 on the relative athletic score, good vertical and a good broad, and then the numbers also check out. Overall Pro Football Focus grade in 2023 on 700 snaps of 88.2. Doesn't get much better than that. No sacks allowed, 2 hits, 10 hurries, 8 penalties. The penalties, it's not great, but that comes down to discipline and you can work with a young player on that. With that, let's ask you this, today's poll question, and also our pinned comment. Should the Niners trade up from the 31st overall pick, T for trade, S for stay? Let me know what you're thinking down in the comment section. I'll let you know what I'm thinking about the Game Time app. It is the place for last-minute tickets. And in my life, I really value putting together memorable experiences and doing things that I'm going to remember for a long time. That's what Game Time tries to offer all of the people who use the app and its customers. They provide the premier marketplace for last-minute tickets to the most popular events in sports, music, and theater. They eliminated the need for printing. No more paper jams and bar basements. They built a better way to access the best live experiences right from your phone. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all things that you can even think of as we noted. It's not just sporting events. And Game Time believes that the impromptu moments in life lead to incredible shared experiences. So they built a ticket marketplace that makes it faster and easier to get into your favorite events at a moment's notice. Game Time gives fans access to last-minute tickets to the most popular events in more than 60 cities across U.S. and Canada. You can get images of your seats before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. It takes 2 taps to buy some of these tickets. And if you use our code, ChatSports, and you download the app for free, you get $20 off. Trade up candidate number 3. Now we're starting to get a little bit juicy here, and we're getting the creative juices flowing. A trade up for tight end Brock Bowers. George Kittle had a great year this past year, one of the best of what could be a future Hall of Fame career. But at some point, as all good businesses do, they have to start planning for the future. George Kittle hasn't necessarily shown signs of decline, but he is on the downslope as far as his age goes in the National Football League. He plays the game in a very physical way, and he's not going to be a San Francisco 49er forever, but also you can play 2 tight ends and utilize both Brock Bowers and George Kittle on the field at the same time. And my thought here, if Brock Bowers falls, because all these quarterbacks go, and then the wide receivers, then some offensive linemen, and the best defenders, if that value is too good to pass up on, Brock Bowers is a generational type of tight end, one of the best overall players in this draft class. He is coming off an ankle injury, but he did say he's going to be fine. He ended up playing late in the year for Georgia, by the way.
I'd say just run after the catch. I think I do a pretty good job at that, and it's just a good part of my game.
So you talk about players like Chop Robinson. You talk about players like Tal Fuaga. You talk about
I'd say
players
just run after
like
the catch.
Brock Bowers.
I think I do.
These are studs, man. These are really, really blue-chip prospects who move the needle for your team, and it's a influx of youth talent on this team as well. And Brock Bowers, his career in Athens, Georgia, was ridiculous. I mean, he comes onto the scene in 2021 as a freshman, and he has 56 catches, 882 yards, and 14 total touchdowns. I watched him so much as a freshman, and I'm like, he still has to be in college for a couple more years in order to be draft eligible? Wow. Year 2, 63 grabs, 942 catches, and 10 total touchdowns. And then in just 10 games this past year, he was on pace to maybe shatter some of his previous records. 56 catches, 714 yards, 7 total touchdowns. We've gone edge rusher, offensive tackle, tight end. Now let's go to the interior of this defensive line. Braden Fisk tested in spectacular fashion in the pre-draft process. And he probably went from a round 2, round 3 guy to a guy who you might have to trade up for in the first round. Why would the Niners trade up for him? They don't really have any young defensive tackles to develop here. Javon Hargrave, wrong side of 30. Malik Cunningham, Eric Armstead replacement. He's 28. You brought back Kevin Givens. You have Kalia Davis, who's young, but he's been injured a lot. Braden Fisk, 9'8" relative athletic score, 31-inch arms. He's a little bit lighter, but so too is Aaron Donald. 292 pounds. He's also 6'3". And at 292 pounds, he was able to clock a 4.78 40-yard dash. for a Florida State team that was really, really good, and if Jordan Travis didn't suffer that gruesome ankle injury, they may have been in the college football playoff. Braden Fisk, able to notch 43 tackles, 9 TFLs, 6 sacks, and 28 pressures. He did start his career as a lesser-known player and prospect at Western Michigan. Spent 3 years there. The numbers pretty damn good with some good sack numbers. Anytime you can get 6 sacks from a defensive tackle, that's really good production. And then our final trade candidate here is Adon Mitchell, also known as A.D. Mitchell. Of the Texas wide receivers, A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy, I think A.D. Mitchell is going to be the better player. If the Niners think like I do, and they think that A.D. Mitchell can be a top 2 wide receiver in this class, and I think that he's that special, I think that he's that legit, he's worthy of trading up for, especially with the future at the wide receiver position for this organization being somewhat up in the air with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. A nearly flawless and perfect grade for him on the relative athletic score here. 9.99. He is 6'2", 205, so he is built. And at 205 pounds, he's able to run a blazing fast, blazing quick, 4.34 40-yard dash. His numbers compared to Xavier Worthy, lesser production, but I like the body type and the speed combination with how it translates to the NFL level, because Xavier Worthy did run a 4.21 40-yard dash, but he's also under 170 pounds. So durability is a little bit of a concern. Running across the middle, a little bit of an issue. A.D. Mitchell can do all of that. So the numbers for A.D. Mitchell, a little bit less. The touchdowns up, though. Big-time player for the Texas Longhorns in 2023. Which player would you trade up for? We talked about 5 of them, but do you have a player that you would like to trade for? Let me know down in the comment section and drop me a name.